Three Bulgarian nationals have just been found guilty of spying for Russia here in the UK. An Old Bailey jury reached unanimous verdicts on all of the count. So let's go straight to the Old Bailey because our correspondent Daniel De Simone is there. And Daniel tell us more. So these three defendants, two women and a man, Vanya Gaberova, Katrin Ivanova, and Tihomir Ivanchev, had been on trial since November, and they had denied conspiracy to spy for Russia. Three other men had already pleaded guilty to being part of the same cell, and this troll is really unlike anything we've really seen in the British courts before. This was an operational spy cell. These people were going out spying on targets of Russia, carrying out surveillance, and even talking about potentially kidnapping them, taking them back to Russia, even killing them. And as you're going to hear, see in my report that their targets were spread throughout Europe, and they traveled throughout Europe, and UK conducting surveillance, and my report follows. Music, now police. Police smashing a Russian spy cell by raiding a guest house in Great Yarmouth. Stay there, stay there. The owner is Bulgarian. Oren Rusev, stay there. He suggests police have made a mistake. It's the wrong place. I think it's the wrong place, but it isn't. It's full of tools for spying. And officers find thousands of chat messages organizing SPGE. Are all of these devices yours? I have purchased some on the eBay, and I'm repairing many of those, not all of them. The sheer scale of what was recovered from the Espinar base was unprecedented. We're talking about devices that can, for example, be taken close to a mobile phone and extract the data from that phone and exploit it. And there were 11 drones, over 200 mobile phones, and nearly 500 SIM cards. The scale was enormous. Oren Rusev moved to the UK as a businessman over 15 years ago after being recruited as a Russian spy. He then recruited other Bulgarians working in normal jobs, Bia Janov and girlfriend Katrin Ivanova, a couple who ran courses in London teaching British values. Entry 3, Introduction to British Value. They also worked in healthcare. And he had an affair with another cell member, Vanya Gaberova, left hand, and a huge right. Another member was Ivan Stoyanov, a mixed martial arts fighter, destroy us off their spy cell, conducted operations in the UK and Europe, following people targeted by Russia, and even seeking to identify Ukrainian troops believed to be training at a US military base in Germany. They filmed themselves next to the base in Montenegro. They posed as holiday makers to spy on the partner of one target in London. They filmed the Kazakhstan embassy, where they planned to stage a protest with the pretense they could then give information about protesters to Kazakhstan, intelligence to curry favor for Russia. Throughout Europe, they spied on journalist Christo Grev and Roman Dobrov, who exposed Russia's role in the Salisbury Nerve agent attack, with the sale deploying these spy glasses to film them. Katrin Ivanova capturing Christo Girth on a plane, sending the footage in real time to the cell. Some members had discussed killing him. They spoke about kidnapping fellow journalist Roman D. of, and I'm very lucky to be alive. Actually, I think assassination was one of the options that they reviewed. But even if it was kidnapping, that doesn't mean that I was just, you know, brought to Russia and then let free. It was about interrogating and then killing. When police moved in, they found dozens of fake identity documents. The cell even posed as journalists. It's my ex-girlfriend. We spent kind of about 4, 5 years together. We spit count about year and a half, I know, outside the home of Vanya Gaberova. Police spot a curious visitor, Tihomir Ivanchev, a painter and decorator who also turned out to be in the cell. But in that time, I was like completely aware that I'm just helping for a good see. He and some others claim to think the surveillance was for innocent reasons, but the cell leader Rusev was directed from abroad by Russian state asset Jan Marley, who's wanted in Germany for fraud. His whereabouts are unclear. He was acting as a middleman between the Russian intelligence services and this group of Bulgarians. So, so, a direct line of communication from the Russian intelligence services through to Rusev, which generated all of their surveillance activity here, who ordered that you should be targeted. I think that it was Vladimir Putin directly in this dictatorship. You would never take responsibility on your own to do such a political stuff. You will always have direct order from the president. It doesn't have to be a written order from the Kremlin to Great Yarmouth and the unlikely faces of a real threat within Daniel Tony BBC News at the Old Bailey. And as you can see in the report, there, this cell was conducting the sort of operations that have previously led to poisonings and death in Europe and in the UK. And so, this was the first time a trial has really seen on the inside of a spy cell, seeing their messages, seeing the things that they were filming, the pictures they were taking, they were discussing the people they were following. And these convictions, of course, come at the moment when Russia is at the top of the global political agenda, and we're going to have to see what Russia says in response. But the police are quite clear. They say this was the Russian intelligence services causing chaos on the streets of the UK. The victims, you saw one of them in my report saying this, goes right to Vladimir Putin himself, given the nature of the conspiracy that we've seen. And so, as for the defendants themselves, there are 6 of them that are going to be sentenced that may take up to 3 days. And sentencing will start on the 7th of May.